Hi everyone, I'm back. It's pattern-collections.com. Go down to pattern focus, which is where we find today's pattern. This one is Oh Africa by Ina Sonamoser. We've done this one before, and so I did stop and I watched my video, which is this one, and I watched Mimi's video, which is the next one. So if you want to look at those videos, we both had similar issues with this particular pattern and losing our place. So and you'll see Mimi's Mimi's look more clover-like because she had a bigger lumpy bump than I did. Mine is a little shallower, which is more like the sample. Neither of us made it look like the sample. We just didn't. So, but I think after watching my video again and watching Mimi's, I may have come up with a way for me to not lose my place as much. I'm not sure, but I'm going to give it another go. Okay, this original video that I did was sometime in July. So if you want to go back on my page and find it, if I think about it, I'll try to remember to put a link up here in the iCard for that previous video so you can see how I've done it differently. And we're just going to give it a go. I'm just going to fill the whole page with this pattern. I'm not going to try to do a fancy tile. Close your eyes, everyone. And I gotta zoom myself in a little bit because nobody wants to see my blue painter's tape or my ugly table. Okay. I'm still going to use a I have troubles with the offset grid. You know what? I forgot to show you the pattern. I'm going to turn off my light again because you can't see when I have my light on. Huh. I showed you the videos, but I didn't show you the pattern. Okay, so step. I forgot that you haven't watched the previous videos yet. So there we go. Step one is an offset grid. And an offset grid just means offset dot grid. That means you put your dots, and then in the next row you put your dots offset, which in essence ends up being a grid that's a diagonal grid. See how that goes? So rather than trying to draw an offset grid, which I have issues with, I am going to draw a diagonal, just square grid. See, that's still a square. Okay, it's just going diagonal. Then the next step is between the dots, you do a 1, 2. Okay, can you see that? You go 1, 2, 1, 2 between your dots on that diagonal. And then you turn your tile and then you go the other way. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now what both Mimi and I were having troubles with is we lost what dot we were aiming for, and we would sometimes end up, instead of being here, we'd end up over here. We'd be in the, see, there's where the dot is, and instead of ending up from dot to dot, we went dot to middle instead of dot to dot, and then we ended up with 3 lumps instead of 2 lumps, and it just then became a complete not right thing. So I think I've come up with a plan on how to do this a little bit better. Turn my light back on. Is I'm going to start with a diagonal grid. And I do that by drawing a straight grid on the diagonal. I find that to be way, way easier. And it helps me keep track of where my dots are. Okay. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go from here to here with a little lump in the middle. That's how I'm going to keep track of where are my dots and where am I headed. Okay. So let's try this and see if this helps me work this out better. And I'm not going to get too carried away with my lumps. Let me get a scrap piece of paper here. If this is my grid, I'm going to make more of a shallow like that rather than a lumpy like that. I'm going to stay more shallow and see if that helps me also. Okay. So instead of doing, because this is where your squares connect right there, right? Right there, which makes your offset dot grid immediately. So basically it's just a square grid on the diagonal, because if you look at it this way, where's a blank piece of paper? Here we go. If you look at it this way, there's my dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when I go down to the next line, these are offset, right? 1, 2, 3, and then on the next row, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it makes a dot grid. It's just easier to draw it, just a regular grid on the diagonal. I just have such issues with the dot the other way. And since this is drawn basically from dot to dot on the diagonal, I'm just going to draw it that way. Use my guidelines as I can. And I'm going to stay pretty zoomed in because this one was a little complex. And I'm just going to start like I drew the grid. I'm going to start in the same thing I'm going to start across the middle. And I'm going to try to stay more shallow. And then my middle dot's going to be here. So I'm going to go like that. Like that. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to do that again. Last time I did it on a wonky grid, which also did not help me in the least to learn this pattern. So I learned some things from the last time. I'm not going to do that again. Okay. So now I've gone across the diagonal, and between each of these I've just added, so instead of doing one big arch, I've done 2 arches into each square. Got it? Now I'm just going to turn my page, 1/4 of a turn. I'm just going to do that same thing going the other direction. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm keeping them nice and shallow. And look at that. Magically, it works. So I figured out for myself an easier step out. If you can do it the other way with the dot grid, you go for it. I just got lost. Oh goodness, I thought they were done with the jackhammer. Sorry, I have some construction happening at my house and I really thought they were done with the jackhammer. There, that's the pattern right there. And that was way easier to draw than what we had before. It just was way easier to draw. Now, you can embellish this however you want to embellish it. I think I'm going to just leave this one kind of raw and plain. I'm going to give it a nice big fat border though. Oh, I'm so sorry about the jackhammering, everybody. They are digging up my driveway in order to put a new driveway on the side of the house. I had no idea there was going to be this much deconstruction. I thought they were just going to do some grading and leveling. Had no idea jackhammering was going to be involved today, or I would have done my best to get most of these videos done 2 days ago. But I wasn't feeling well 2 days ago, and I could have drawn, but I knew that if I wasn't feeling well, all my drawings were going to be blah. Even if I could get them done, they would have just been blah. I ended up just rolling over and going back to sleep, and I stayed in bed until like noon. I really just didn't feel well. It wasn't that I felt sick. I just felt blah. So, you know, I could have drawn that day, but I didn't. Okay, so now I'm just gonna shade. I'm just gonna choose one side and I'm just gonna shade. I'm gonna choose to shade here. Like that. Mostly just in this spot, right like that. I think that's what I'm going to do. And then it will bring up the pencil up with when I use my blending stump, and that should be enough, I think. But you could embellish this, you could aura it, you could, you know, add all sorts of things to this pattern. But I think I'm just going to leave it just like this, so that I can remember that this is how it's drawn, and that I don't need to be super fancy with it to get it done. Okay. This, you would see a little bit of that. Just trying to see where, if I'm missing some shading. Yeah, right there. Okay. And now I'm going to get my blendy stick. Do you want my bigger blendy stick? I don't know. Oh, this blendy. Just like that. They look like little puffy pillows. I don't know what was Ina's inspiration when she named this tangle. But I see lovely puffy pillows. And if you want, if it's not dark enough for you in this, and I don't think it is for me, I'm going to come back with my pencil. I'm going to do that again. Just going to come back in and add another layer of this lovely deep dark color. And then reblend. Because I didn't put enough graphite in those crevices for my liking. I think I want it darker. But I think I put it in a good spot. I'm happy with where I placed it. I just don't think it's enough. So I'm just going to come back and I'm going to just do it again. In that same spot, I'm just going to do a little bit darker and a little bit bolder. And I'll just come back in and blend again. Well, it's a good base. It's a good start. You guys may know I spend a lot of time watching the YouTubes because I don't watch TV anymore. Pretty much none. Watch a little bit of replays of certain shows online, but for the most part I don't watch TV anymore. And I've been lately watching a lot of videos from Jerry's Artorama. Who'd have thought that Jerry's Artorama has a lot of really good art videos. Some of them are tutorials, but some of them are from this guy. It says Mike, not Jerry. And I don't know who this Mike guy is. He's funny, very sarcastic, a little odd sometimes. But he's super knowledgeable about art and art supplies, and I'm learning all sorts of things, not just about, you know, pens and pencils and stuff that pertain to this channel, but you know, just in general, art supplies, watercolors and oils and papers and all sorts of things. And then he has this series called Artist Problems, I think they are, and he talks about just various random stuff in there. And one of the ones I watched recently was called When Can You Call Yourself an Artist? And I had posted this video in the Zentangle Explorations group. But when can you call yourself an artist? And he says that you should call yourself an artist as soon as you start making art of any kind. Because it puts you in a mindset that I'm an artist. And that there's something that happens to you when you call yourself an artist. It gives you what he calls the C word. It gives you confidence. And because in your mind, you are now an artist. And it gives you that confidence. Now, you can give yourself a qualifier. He says, you know, you can say you're a new artist. You can say you are an art student. Which, I don't know. You still should call yourself an artist. So, you know, you can give yourself, like you could call yourself a Zentangle artist, or a pattern artist, or an abstract artist. Absolutely. Do that. Put that in your mindset that I am an abstract artist. It's what I do. I don't sit here and draw, you know, realistic or even most of the time recognizable shapes. We draw patterns, and they're abstract. Sometimes they can look flower-like or ribbon-like, but for the most part, we're not trying to draw a specific flower, you know, or a specific thing. we're abstract, right? And so absolutely give yourself that name in your head. And if you get to the point where you want to call yourself a professional artist, that's awesome. If you want to still call yourself a novice artist, that's okay. But call yourself an artist, because that gives you that confidence to say, you know, I'm an artist. I can do what I want with my art. And I think that's awesome. So if you want to check them out, it's Jerry's Artorama, and I think the series or the playlist is called Artist Problems. And yeah, he's very interesting to listen to. Look at that. I think I did it, and I think I did it so much better than I did the first one. Ah, yeah. I'm much happier with this. You know, watch mine, watch Mimi's, and then try it for yourself and see if this doesn't help you do it a little easier, because I think I figured it out. We're going to sign it, and oh, out of Africa. This one is a pattern by Ina Sonemoser. And there we go. I did it. And it looks nice. And now I could, now that I have figured it out in this larger scale over a whole tile, I could now use this pattern a little bit smaller and put it as a filler in a different shape using a string. Absolutely. Much better. I feel better about it. Okay, you guys have a really great day. I will see you tomorrow. Go out and do something nice for somebody today. I need to get up and give myself a little stretch, get myself some water, and I will be back to draw another pattern shortly. See you later. Bye.